Well, hello, everybody. You are about to hear from a very, very, very incensed Cassidy O'Connell and my good friend Omar, who is kind enough to join me.
What's up, folks?
So, this, you know what? There is a dangerous trend right now going on
Yeah.
that people who have unlimited money and unlimited resources are now using the courts as a way to shut people up, harass, uh, just whatever. Like we saw this happen in the Blake Lively case, which is probably mostly who's going to be here tonight are Blake Lively people, but also some of you followed me from way back when I covered more stuff about Murdaugh.
Oh, I have a whole diatribe about the war and the attack on journalism that has been going on really since 2016, and how stuff that has happened like a decade previous is now affecting Miss Matney in this case. But I'll let you steer the ship.
Okay, so I just to let you know, I did some light time travel today, Omar.
Oh, I'm always good
Yeah,
for a good time travel.
yeah. I mean, I thought it was bad when I got the subpoena from Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, and it looked like Ezra had gone back in time and faxed it to me circa 1985. And remember Bruce in one of the lives, he said it looks like a what was it, mimeogram or mimeograph, whatever that is.
You know what's
So
hilarious? I'll tell you a
listen,
whole story about that. When I started my law firm, it was like 2018. And back then it's like, I should have a fax number. Why? Why don't you just email? I don't know. I have one. I have a fax number. I've never used it. It's gotten to the point where
why
I've
would you?
erased it from existence. It's not on any of my headings anymore.
Yeah. It's crazy. Well, this is this afternoon I went back even further in time. I mean, I think I was somewhere in like the 60s or the 70s
Both
because
for
I
a decade.
just know that in 2026, the year of our Lord, I
You're
would not
wrong.
hear what I heard today in a courtroom anywhere in the United States. Let me play it for you.
You might have heard it in the 40s.
I'll have to travel back a little further next time, but let me show you what I heard.
All right.
Just a few days ago, you posted a picture of yourself in your bathing suit, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Case law.
And were you on the beach? Were you on the beach in your bathing suit?
Your Honor, objection. This is not relevant and harassing.
Your Honor, if she has security concerns, the last thing a female with security concerns does is post a bathing suit shot of themselves for their stalker to see. So I'm curious as to whether she acknowledged that she did that.
This is beyond the pale, Your Honor. Women are allowed to be in public in a bathing suit.
That's not the point.
It's not the point. Go ahead. It's over.
Did
That
you?
was in my backyard, if you really want to know.
Okay, but you posted a bathing suit shot.
My husband right next to me, and it wasn't a revealing bathing suit shot. You can look at it.
But you posted a picture of yourself in your bathing suit, correct? Okay.
All right. Pause. The objection to the bathing suit photo. I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess that there were no location markers in the photograph that she posted online for social media.
No, okay, and it's worse than that. It wasn't the beach. It was her backyard, her private swimming pool, and she was in it with her husband in
Yeah.
her backyard. There was nothing revealing about it.
Which makes it much worse, right? And so if I was counsel on the other side, my objection would have been a lot sterner. It's like, listen, my client posting a picture of her in her backyard in a bathing suit is not grounds for her to then come here and argue that she's not actually as fearful as she claims, because she's taking the liberty to post something of her in, casual dress wear in a location undisclosed to try to make her argument for the subpoena a little bit stronger. It's completely improper. It's sanctionable. And this attorney should be ashamed of herself. I might have said something like that.
I was sitting here watching it. I was screaming
I
at
could see
my
you screaming.
computer screen. I got sweaty again just watching it again. I don't remember when I've been this mad. I haven't been this mad in a long time. Shame on you. What's that?
Since your subpoena, I'd imagine.
Since my subpoena, I think I was madder about this because this is a woman who has been an attorney for decades. She is a former assistant U.S. attorney, and I
Hey,
could
Bruce,
not
you can
believe
send me
and
your bathing suit pics at any time. Sorry, Bruce is threatening me with his bathing suit pics.
well, we did see you in the swimming pool with Lauren, so
Oh, it was not a good day for me. I lost. So
lost the race. But I I mean, are you as absolutely incensed as I am about this? She wouldn't let it go. She felt like this woman was fully convinced that she was winning the argument with this right there. And
could I tell you a story about how incensed I get when counsel makes these kinds of arguments? Because imagine, like a large part of my career has been devoted towards litigating domestic violence cases, women who are afraid of, various different things. And one of the most common refrains, or one of the most common defenses against a person that has violated and domestically violenced my clients is, well, if you were so afraid, why didn't you call the cops? As they're undergoing years of psychological and physical torture, manipulation, domestic violence, or what have you. It's not so simple to say, oh, you must not have been that afraid because you slept in the same bed with him, didn't you? Because he forced her to sleep in the same bed with her. There was no sleeping anywhere else. It was a form of manipulation and control. And for you to sit here and question my client, I got to tell you, I've almost, it's not that I've almost come to blows with opposing counsel, but I've gotten to the point where, like, it's getting to the point where we're yelling back and forth with our objections in front of the judge because I'm so incensed at the gall that they have to try to raise, the non-existence of certain actions by my clients or the existence of certain pictures without other things by my clients, and claim that because these things exist, they're grounds to say that my client's not actually afraid or doesn't actually believe the things that have happened or has no credence to the allegations that have been made. That will send me over the edge. And so I completely understand you getting incensed at this attorney.
yeah, and she wouldn't let it go. So I saw Christina ask if we can get some context. So yes, I'm gonna do a long-winded explanation, just a quick rundown of what this is all, how this all took place in the first place. So Mandy, first of all, is not a party to this lawsuit. She is, like I was in the Blake Lively one, a third party who's being subpoenaed. So what this is about, and I got in my notes here, Ruth Bader Ginsburg rolled over in her grave today. I just know it. Like all the fighting that woman did to help women along, like get better represented. And this Deborah Barbier just took us back to the time period where women were put on the stand and judged because they got raped because they went to a bar in a miniskirt. So they must have been asking for it.
The Jodie Foster case. Who's the lady that movie was based off of? The Jodie Foster movie where she goes to a bar and she's like raped repeatedly in the bar. What's that movie? It's from the 80s, early 90s.
Oh, that one.
You don't know that one? Oh my God. They made a whole movie about that whole case. Jodie Foster starred in it. It was like one of these famous, I don't want to say,
Someone said
well,
The Accused.
The Accused. That's exactly what it's called. The Accused. One of Jodie Foster's very first prominent performances in Hollywood that kind of put her on the map. I think it was pre-Silence of the Lambs. I thought that's what you were talking about, but you don't even know. You have no idea what I'm talking about. So
well, and it happened all the time. Like women, and I think sometimes a little bit still, but we had come so far, and I feel like with so many things in my lifetime, like the stuff when I was a kid, this stuff wasn't allowed. Nobody said this kind of crap. You got chewed out for saying it, and now it's like making a comeback. Like civil rights never happened. But let me give everybody a quick introduction about what's going on here. So This is about the conspiracy case. You can kind of see the main players of it in the thumbnail here. So I've talked about this a little bit before. This is the case I told you about with the billionaire. He's the one. Let me clear the comments off the stage. You'll see a better picture of him in a little bit, but at the bottom right, he's the one to the left, Greg Parker. He owns a line of convenience stores throughout South Carolina and parts of Georgia. They're gas station convenience stores, and he became a billionaire last year. So let me get back to the beginning of this. So this case was filed in 2021. It's an offshoot of the boat crash case that Paul Murdaugh, he was driving extremely intoxicated. He crashed. He ejected several of the boat's occupants, including himself, into the water. One of them was Mallory Beach. Let me clear this comment too, and because I think I have. Oh, I didn't. Let me load my. I was missing.
While you're loading that, could I just make a comment that I'm really jealous of your thumbnails?
Really?
The thumbnail I have for this stream is generated by AI. And it is not nearly as good as yours. There's no way that yours is AI because it's the same thing all the time. But yours are way more compelling.
Yeah, I use Photoshop, and it takes me forever. Everything I do is, you know what? I wish that I could adapt more easily to new things, but like I learned Photoshop years ago, back when you used to have to like take classes for it, and I can't keep it up. And I'm like that with everything. Like everything I do is like, this is how I learned it, and this is the only way to do it. So, and I'm a control freak when it comes to like things that I make. I want it to be a certain way. It has to be a certain level. So, but that could be a whole nother series of episodes. So this is Mallory Beach. So she was thrown off. She struck her head on something. I don't know if they know what it was, if it was a part of the boat, if it was something that the boat hit, or I've been by the bridge, so it could have been like a pylon from the bridge, but whatever it was, she hit her head, and I think personally, I think she was knocked unconscious, and then into the water. So you know the story. She drowned, and it took 8 days to find her, because that night her boyfriend was desperately trying to find her, but it was dark. It was like 2:00 in the morning. It was foggy. There was no way. And then emergency crew, they went to the wrong place first, and then they finally got there, but like I said, it was dark, it was foggy. They couldn't find her. And then it ended up taking like 8 days to actually find her. Yeah. So there, of course, were law enforcement pictures. She was found by volunteers, because a lot of people were coming, like volunteering to search, to try to find her. Every day they would show up. Finally, on the 8th day, these guys find her. Well, of course, you know how law enforcement is. They have to photograph everything. So they photographed how she was found. This was something that was not available to the public. This was something that belonged exclusively to law enforcement. So there was that. It's not the kind of thing that you can just go FOIA. You know, it's it's limited. And even if you do FOIA something, there is a record of who has requested this information and where it's been sent to, if it's been sent. So there's no way that these kind of pictures can just be distributed. So
you also have to keep in mind too that Alex Murdaugh, like at the time when this accident happened, Alex Murdaugh and all of his cronies were putting maximum pressure on the people that were commenting and reporting and documenting this crime scene. And so Alex Murdaugh, I mean, he's been put away, he's in prison, he's got his appeal going on or whatever. But this happened in an environment where there was corruption rampant in South Carolina. And so that was the initial attack on journalism with respect to Matney, because she was asking like the questions that, you know, nobody wanted to answer. She was asking the right questions, which was the problem, right? And so here
are the ones who, they're the reason that this story got out.
Yeah. Just by the way, just a housekeeping, when I leave a comment in the thing, could your audience see when I'm commenting?
I don't know. I don't know. I can see it all, just like you can, but
I know you can, because I put out a directive that
attorney Britt, and I was on her stream, and she was on with Little Girl Attorney and not actually Golden, and I couldn't see the other chats, but I don't know, since you're one of the hosts, Christina, are you in mine? Can you see Omar? Oh,
Christina doesn't see an Omar comment, so I guess only my stream can see mine. Anyway, the directive is you have to try to distract Cassidy in the comment section. because I learned the other day that she gets distracted if you make off the wall comments, and
I
so
do.
you should try your
Like a
best.
squirrel when they hear something in the distance and they just freeze.
And anyway, she's also in
happened?
control of all the chats tonight. So
What's that?
I said you're in control of
Oh,
all of the chats and everybody that gets on the screen tonight.
I
Chicken
am
butt.
in control of it.
Immediately chicken butt.
Okay, so this is a picture of Paul Murdaugh on that fateful night buying the alcohol at Parker's. If you've seen the video, the girl just grabs the ID, she just scans it, she doesn't even look at it, and off he goes. So I've had people like get really, really angry about me talking about you guys don't listen to Omar. I just saw milk ducks in there. So the here's the thing. Like, I've had people attack me mercilessly for defending the or for saying that Parker's was wrong in selling the kids this stuff because they were obviously underage and not even taking the time to look at the ID.
Yeah.
But here's what I say to that. You don't have to sell alcohol. Selling alcohol is like an extra privilege. You get a license to do it. You're supposed to abide by the rules or you lose that license. If you can't keep your employees and if you can't keep your employees trained, and if you can't ensure that your business is not contributing to the delinquency and death ultimately of minors, then don't sell alcohol. It's really that simple. It's not something you have to sell. You decided you wanted to sell alcohol. You better make sure that you are doing everything you possibly can to keep people safe so that you're not contributing to it. Now, on the same token, the same night, the other boy, oh my goodness, these names are slipping. Connor. So he comes in, he has a fake ID. It is his picture on there. He actually looks 21. He was almost 21. And the ID itself scanned. I do not blame this woman one bit for that, because had I been there, the one scanning it, you better believe I would have looked at it, first of all. But it would have looked like the kid. It would have scanned like a correct ID. It would, I do not fault her one bit for that. However, this difference with Paul and Buster. So Paul doesn't have a fake ID here. Paul, first of all, the kid looked about 15. I think he was 19 when this happened, but he didn't even look 19. Like, there were so many things that a responsible person would have paid attention to, and it didn't happen. So this is him out there celebrating that he bought his alcohol. But I want you to look at the difference in size, first of all, between Buster and Paul. How many inches would you say is going on there between the two of them?
About 6 to 7 inches. 6, 7.
6, 7. So, I wanted to update that to the 10, 13 because of the case that Blake got. She lost 10 of her 13. But anyway, so yeah, about 6 to 8 inches difference. So here's the thing. If it was the opposite, if Paul was the taller one and shows up with the shorter one, okay, maybe he had this humongous growth spurt in a year. It's happened. But when you are 6 to 8 inches shorter than the ID that you're showing, there's something off there. That is very, very noticeable. Also,
I don't know, Cassidy. I got to tell you, man, just as an aside, my dad, whom I'm much taller than, but my dad is like 5'6". So if this was like the 70s or 80s and he was getting, I don't know, you can't really judge age by height. You know what I mean?
No,
like, there's some really short folks out there.
I'm saying if someone comes up to me with an ID that says that they're 5'10", and I'm looking at them and they're 5'3".
Well, that's a more, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Oh, okay. That makes more sense. If I come out with an ID, Omar's not 6'8". No, you're absolutely right. I am 5'11". But my ID, I get it now. Never mind.
Yeah, that's what I meant. But the other thing, okay, look at them. No, I notice everything, like I cannot help it. My brain scans everything before it even all fully registers. Like I try to explain what it's like to people who don't have a brain like mine, but it registers first in a feeling before my brain can put words to it. But like the
Goodness, that
this
makes perfect
this would
sense.
happen so fast in my brain that like before I would even know why, I would be saying to Paul, "This is not you." You know, so maybe like I need to give grace for people who don't have that, but I would look at this kid and be like, "This is not your ID. Get out of here before I call your mom."
I gotta
But
be honest. I'll tell you what, if I was working at a gas station and I was like 18, 19 years old, and Paul came in and the ID on the picture was of his brother with the red hair,
mhm.
I don't think that I would give it a second look. I'd be like, oh, whatever. Here's your stuff. But I'm
Yeah,
also 18, 19 years old. I don't give a shit. They're paying me $7 an hour, bud.
well, yeah, that's a big part of it. That's a
I'm
big
just saying. And so I kind of have a little bit of grace just because I know how it would have been back in the day.
yeah. So, you know, I I get that. I just this is how I am. Like I notice everything. Like yeah, it's and it, like I said, it's a feeling before I even realize like why I feel that way. Like my whole
So,
body knows when somebody's lying to me
you know
instantly.
what?
It's
You know
it's
what?
just the way I process.
My wife would say, okay, she literally like went and got her whole hair done, like got her hair cut and everything, got her hair styled or whatever. Um, I didn't notice. I didn't notice until much later. And so she's like walking around and like expecting me to say something because like she just like changed her appearance or did something different with her hair. It did not register with me like right away. Like it took me a minute. Well, what it took was like she told me that she got her hair done. It's like, oh shit, you really did. So it's like I don't notice things like that. If things are not out of place like that, I'm not going to notice like those subtle changes. Like I think my brain registers is everybody's safe.
Mhm.
And as long as everybody's safe, I don't really ask too many questions. Like I'm
Yeah.
not constantly scanning. Some guys do. I
Yeah.
don't
I mean,
know.
it's involuntary for me. It's just the way that's why I'm overwhelmed in the public because I take everything in. But now I've drifted really too far out. So just looking at them, I feel like Paul looks like Maggie and Buster looks like Alex. And I don't see a
Yeah,
single feature besides they both have red hair, but that's not even the same shade of red. I don't
no.
see a single feature that looks alike to me. Not one. Not a single one. And you know, so but that's neither here nor there. That's just like that's what happened. Okay. So this is Greg Parker. And so he gets sued. He gets sued because it was his convenience store that sold the alcohol. Now he's not the only person that gets sued. There's also a bar that they stopped at on their way back shortly before the accident that Connor and Paul go in and get a couple of shots and they get sued. The people whose oyster roast they attended, because it was a bunch of adults there, and they knew that these underage kids were drinking. They did nothing. They knew that they drove off on a boat. Do you say drive a boat? I think it's drive a boat. So
Yeah.
they knew that they went off like that. Some of them had said there was even like an uncle of Paul's, and they're like, you guys should really take an Uber or something like that. But they all let them just drift off into the water like this. So it was a whole then Alex got sued because it was his boat. I believe Maggie got sued because it was her credit card, and then Buster got sued because it was his driver's license that Paul used, and everybody knew that that's what he was doing with those things. So it wasn't like Greg Parker alone was singled out. Most people decided to settle right away. I think it got down to Alex and Greg Parker at the very end. And Greg Parker did not want to settle, so his there were hearings, and then ultimately right before the trial when he knew there was no way he was going to win, he finally settled, and he ended up settling for 15 million, and he probably wouldn't have had to pay that much if he had settled sooner. But so what he decides to do, because apparently when you don't want to fight, when you've got millions or billions and you don't want to fight fair in a lawsuit, this is what you do these days. Just like Blake and Ryan, you abuse the court system, or you just do whatever the heck you want. So, and everything from here on out, let me put this disclaimer, everything I'm going to say about this case is alleged. I don't want to keep repeating the word alleged. So just imagine the word alleged before everything. But what I'm about to tell you about the case is what is alleged in the case. So it's alleged in the case that what he did is hire at least 3 different private investigators. One of them was a former intelligence for the FBI, like counterterrorism sort of stuff. So these 3 people, 2 guys, 1 girl, they are doing some crazy stuff. They've got a camera mounted across the street from Paul's home, so they can see like when he's headed somewhere, so they can follow him. So they are also following the girls that were in the surviving girls from the boat crash. They are freshmen in college. They're being followed around their campus. They're being followed if they go out by these private investigators that he's hired. In addition to that, he's also going on, like, I think it was either 2020 or Dateline, and he's kind of almost bragging about like what he's doing, in the case and everything. So this other guy, Greg Roman, he shows up on the scene. Now this man, if you Google him, you will see he's like on C-SPAN. He talks about
C-SPAN.
What's that?
That does not look like the type that I would imagine on C-SPAN.
It's exactly
100%. That looks like a Fox News guy. That is not a C-SPAN guy.
Okay. Well, he's on C-SPAN. I've seen it. But talking about exclusively the Middle East, everything before this case, everything since this case, that is all this man has ever spoken about. Suddenly starts writing about the Murdaugh family. He lives in Pennsylvania. He's writing about this family down in South Carolina, has no relationship to anything he has ever spoken about in his whole career as a journalist. And all of a sudden, he's on this, right? Okay, and then here's Vicky Ward. Now she's a journalist mostly known for her somewhat controversial coverage of Epstein way back. And that's a whole other episode. So these two end up together co-producing a documentary about the Murdaughs, which is very, very strange indeed to put these two together to do such a thing. Like it's just bizarre. And we're talking about way back before the Murdaugh murders. So this is back when people had no idea who the Murdaughs were. They're just this, I mean, people in their area of South Carolina knew who they were, but they were not like some nationally or internationally known family that would have this whole documentary being made about them. Because like I said, it started all before the murders even happened. So it's all just very, very strange. So this Vicky Ward turns up in South Carolina, and she's texting Mark Tinsley, who is the Beach family's attorney. So they're the ones, he's the one that is representing them in the boat crash case. And he's the one, if you remember from the Hulu series we covered, he's kind of one of the catalysts for Alex losing it, because Mark Tinsley's coming after him about this boat crash case. So, and he is not someone you want coming after you. I mean, it was a judge who nicknamed him Tiger Tinsley, because he's like, when you got a tiger like Tinsley on your tail, because if he gets a hold of something, he's not going to let go. He's going to get to the bottom of it, and that's exactly what was going on. So she comes to him, and I've seen all the messages. They're in the filings. So she's inviting him. She wants to interview him, and she wants him to sit for what she calls a sizzle reel. So I had never heard of that. It's apparently like this spicy trailer for the documentary. So of course they want to put like the most, I don't know, exciting stuff in it to attract viewers. Because like I said, nobody knew who the Murdaughs were back then. So this sizzle reel gets released, and lo and behold, it has barely blurred photographs of when they found Mallory Beach's body. Barely blurred. I guess you could make out a lot. I've never seen it. So the family, from what I understand, if I recall correctly, they saw it. Imagine they are in a whirlpool of grief right now. They've lost their baby girl. I mean, you can't even fathom it. And then this reel comes along with photographs. Who knows if they had even seen those? I mean, if I lost, I wouldn't want to see a loved ones. I don't even go to funerals most of the time because I can't handle it.
Mm.
But like, you don't want to see that. You do not want to see that. And not only that, then everybody around you is like, oh, I saw Mallory. You know, it just opens up so much stuff. I mean, it would make you not want to open up your phone or watch anything and for fear that it might pop up and you might see it again. I mean, I can't even imagine what it did to this family.
Yeah.
So not only this, but there was this mediation video that was made. And so what you know what it is. Like so Mallory is deceased. There's no way for a jury or for people to see her. She can't come and testify. So they make this up like a day in the life of Mallory, and it's like a quick introduction of who she is, what she is. And so this is made up. Then there's other documents and things like that that only attorneys have. And I guess there's like notes to distinguish. It's the kind of thing that only attorneys have. It's even when it is made public, if it's some kind of filing or deposition, that kind of stuff is redacted or gone. So they know this stuff came from an actual attorney. And this turns up in the hands of these people. And so Vicky Ward was kind of like the beginning of Mr. Tinsley finding out like what's going on. And then from there he meets one of the private investigators and she reveals a whole lot. She's got her own case against Parker's right now. So all of this, it just gets crazy messy. Well, as soon as they realize something like this is going on, this conspiracy case gets filed because the Beach family is like, yeah, this has got to stop. So this offshoot of the boat crash case is this conspiracy case. This has not been settled. This is still going to court. This is the documentary that they were working on, and you see Greg Roman's name in there. You see Vicky Ward's name in there. They are executive producers to it, so they are obviously involved in this somehow. So this is Mark Tinsley, and this is actually at Alex Murdaugh's trial. And so they are trying to get to the bottom of it. Well, we have Mr. Mark Moore, who I have a lot of nicknames for. One of them is Mr. Smee from the Peter Pan cartoon, but I also call him Mark the Time Waster Moore. And he represented Russell Lafitte, who was the banker that helped Alex steal money. And then we have Deborah Barbier, the bathing suit woman, who represented Corey Fleming, who was the attorney that helped Alex Murdaugh steal money from the saddest clients imaginable. And so I do not have any love for these attorneys, either one of them, already coming into this. And I got a little ahead of myself. Sorry, we're gonna have a little bit of fun with that in a second. But so this case comes up, and they do their best to try to protect Greg Parker and his attorneys, because obviously there are some attorneys helping him do what is alleged he did. Because how did he get access to the kind of stuff that he had access to? Well, they pull out all the stops, these two attorneys, Mark Moore and Deborah Barbier, and if you can't attack the opposing parties, who are a sad, grieving family that the whole community has rallied around, like Mallory's funeral was attended by hundreds of people. They were wrapped around the building to come there. These are not the kind of people that you dare attack. So what's left? The attorneys. So there's so many similarities between this case and the Blake Lively case. It just drives me crazy. But so that's what they do. These attorneys have been under attack by Mark Moore and Deborah Barbier for literally years. This case was filed in 2021. They have tried to get them thrown off the case. They have accused them of all kinds of things. It is crazy. We're on the third judge of this case now. And that was part of the delay, but now hopefully this new judge gets it, but they have accused them and tried to stop discovery, calling everything either attorney-client privilege or work product because it was private investigators. They have done everything possible to delay this and to just absolutely destroy the reputations of Mark Tinsley and Tabor Vox, his partner, and they have another partner, John Nichols, that I always forget to name. Sorry, John Nichols. But anyway, so that's what's been going on. Now, as you know, when there is privilege, and so he was saying this stuff was protected. This stuff that you had access to that was getting leaked, and it's privileged. But if he himself had shared it, they're saying, then privilege is gone because it's no longer just within. And we had that in the Blake Lively case too. Because they were trying to say if these different people were in on the text messages that they couldn't claim privilege. So it was kind of like that kind of situation. So what they decided they were going to do is try to find content creator. Well, actually, with Liz and Mandy are legitimate journalists. Like they went to school for journalism. They worked in actual newsrooms. They are not just content creators like me. They are legitimate journalists. They have journalist privilege. There is no denying that. But what they're trying to say is that Mark Tinsley leaked this stuff to Mandy and Liz simply because Mandy and Liz have been covering this Murdaugh thing. Like I said, they're the ones who revealed it all to the world. So they're like, oh, surely you're getting your information from Mark Tinsley. And it was the same thing as Blake. Surely Mark Tinsley is paying you to do this, and made all these accusations to make it sound like he was paying them and giving them information to put out there, which is not true. But then I think it turned into spite, just like this Blake and Ryan case. So this is what's going on now. And so these girls have been through it. They have been threatened for years and years now. They have felt unsafe for years and years now. They have talked about it in their podcast. It's in Mandy's book. They still post about it. I mean, I remember not that long ago on Mandy's Instagram, she posted that she was so excited and so proud of herself because she finally was able to go to the grocery store alone. And that was a huge accomplishment because she was living in such fear and anxiety that she couldn't even do simple things like that. And I mean, I can completely relate to that. And there's a lot to be said. Some people are like, oh, that's just ridiculous. You're a grown woman. Oh, what's so scary? Blah, blah, blah. She has childhood trauma. And I mean, there's studies out there. When you have had some kind of childhood trauma, something in your brain gets broken before your brain understands things, can handle things. And when you heap more trauma on top of something that's already existing in your brain, you cannot handle things like other people can. It is an absolute fact. They have found trauma it's not just, oh, it made you anxious, it made you depressed. It literally changes things in your brain. It does literal brain damage. And so Mandy lost her brother when she was a kid. And that is extremely traumatic. Not only the loss, but what it does to your entire family. Your parents are not being able to exist the way they could before. I mean, everybody's grieving. It's a lot of things. And so and who knows what else she may have gone through, but we don't get to judge somebody because they are more prone to reacting to trauma than someone else might be. We recognize you have trauma and we respect it and we don't judge it. You know what I'm saying? So maybe Liz was able to handle it a little bit better than Mandy was, but Mandy has always been very, very open about how difficult it has been to go through all these things that she's gone through. And she has been mercilessly harassed. And still to this day, people harass her. It's insane what she goes through. And it's really stepped up a lot more recently. And that has like resurfaced some of the trauma for her. There is this specific guy, he is a felon. He is on parole, a federal case. I reported it. I think it was a little over a year ago. It may have been longer. I also don't have much concept of time. But so I reported his case because it was relevant to the Murdaugh case. He has written 2 books claiming that Alex Murdaugh is innocent, and it's a bunch of nonsense. He came on my YouTube channel, tried to fight with me. That doesn't ever go well. But so
I would have loved to see that one.
but so I was like, okay, fine, sir. You want to be on my channel? I will give you the opportunity. And so I got his federal case. I paid for it on Pacer, and I showed this is the man who is arguing that Alex is innocent. He stole $250,000 in COVID funds, and he got caught. And he could have gone to federal prison, but he was able to avoid that, and he is currently on parole, and cannot leave the state without permission. And this is who this guy is. And let me show him to you.
The hell?
All right, tell me, how old do you think this guy is?
68.
I would guess around 60. I don't know how old he is, but so this man, so he almost got my YouTube channel shut down.
This guy?
Yeah, he copyright struck it twice, and if you get 3 copyright strikes, that's it. And you don't get to make a new channel. Like, that's it. You are done on YouTube. So I had 2, and it was like, I don't know, middle of the night, and I'm on with YouTube, and I'm like, he claimed. Now I made a little graphic, and I was very, very careful about it. I took different portions of his head, divided them up, cartoonized them, put them together so that he could not make the claim that I took something of his. And I had each piece separately. Then I had a t-shirt that said something. I can't remember what it was that it said. And I posted that on there. And then I had his federal files that I had paid for. And I did that. He claimed that the cartoon was something he created, and that the federal filings were his copyrighted work, that he had written them. And so I'm going round and round on YouTube. And the only way you can fight it is she was telling me I would have to give my name and my email address to this man. Like, he would see it. Like, if I wanted to fight it, that's what I was going to have to do. And I'm like, I will not do it. And I said, you are telling me that there is no other means that I can do this. Like, I have to put myself in danger with this felon in order for you to, because I said, if you would just look at my stuff, I can send you the 3 different pictures that make up this cartoon to prove to you that it's not his. And you can, if you would just look at what I showed, my content on that video was exclusively public federal filings that I paid for. So I can show you my Pacer receipt, and I can show you, if you will just look. And she went round and round with me. And finally, when I said, look, I have made YouTube money. You take 1/3 of everything that I make on here. And you are telling me that I have to put my safety at risk with a felon in order to save my channel. I said, is that what you're telling me? And she said, well, that's not what I'm telling you. I said, but you are. You're telling me the only way that I can save my channel is to give this man my information. And so finally she said, well, you can have an attorney. You can have an attorney give their information. I said, okay, great. I will do that. And I started to cry because you know me, I cry all the time. So yeah. I start to cry, and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's what I'll do then. I'll get an attorney. And then all of a sudden, I think, because I never was like rude with her. And I think like that like showed her I was trying to be reasonable. I don't know what it was, but for some reason when I said, okay, that's what I'll do, I'll have my attorney send it. She's like, just a minute. And then she's like, I'm gonna take a look at it. And so we get off the conversation, and then she messages me like 15 minutes later. The strikes are off my channel, and my channel's restored. Because at first I was like, I think I was banned from going live or for a certain amount of time. It was like I was gonna have to go take these courses that YouTube has about copyright striking and stuff. And finally, yeah, she sends that to me and she takes it all off, and they let him know, this is not copywritten material, because she finally reviewed it. She was trying to tell me it had already been reviewed by a human, and I said that's impossible, because if a human had looked at it, they would have seen that these were exclusively federal filings. So that's who this guy is. This guy spends his days. He had a TikTok channel. Oh, he still has one, but it was like more attended to during the actual trial. I think he likes to go the contrary way, because if you're just one of the many who are going with the flow, it's harder to get people to pay attention to you. But if you're the one weird dude who is saying, oh, Alex Murdaugh is innocent, well, then anybody who thinks that, you get all of those views. Do you know what I mean? I think
here's my psychological profile of this guy. Number one, he definitely gets all the chicks. Ladies man. Supreme right there. And because of his vast successes with the opposite sex, he has turned his attention to exonerating Alex Murdaugh. And that's all I got to say about that.
I think you're right. I think you have to be right, Omar. So the reason I've got this here, this is what he actually looks like. This is how this man spends his day. Now, this is the guy that is absolutely obsessed with Liz and Mandy, especially Mandy. I don't know if a day passes that this guy is not posting about her. And I would be terrified. I would be absolutely terrified, because he's in her state. And you never know where he's going to show up. And it's creeps like this that make you terrified. So
what kind of, could you scroll back to that last slide? What kind of guy takes a selfie of himself with a Parker soft drink or whatever the hell that is?
He did that. He did that to taunt Mandy specifically. This is what he does. He never comes after men.
Go figure.
He spends his day harassing women.
He looks like he might have worked out like once in his life. Like he went to the gym and he was like, fuck that. I'm gonna go off of vibes from now on. I ain't never trying to start again.
So,
he might have played Little League baseball. That's his claim to fame, athletic fame.
He was a girls volleyball coach, and there's a whole story with that.
Oh, I could imagine what it was.
I bet you could.
Jesus.
So, yeah, he's not a girls volleyball coach anymore. Let me just say that.
I wonder why.
So this is what he does. This man gets this is AI, if you can't tell, and he pretends.
Totally AI. Has to be. With a Range Rover in the back, of course it is. Come on, man.
Yeah. And I hope you have coolant there, buddy, because I've got two of them, and they are beautiful, but they are not reliable cars. But this is what he actually drives. Okay, Gelth says name and shame him. Nothing wrong with the truck, but don't pretend you're driving around in a Rangy when you're not. Name and shame him. His name is Jim Seidel, and his all of his content comes under Crime and Cask. So that's just to go back like in between his artificial reality. So this, just to show you how creepy this man is. Okay, this is AI. He does not have his hands on this beautiful actress. Do you recognize her?
I was gonna say, is that no, I can't. I don't know who that is.
This is Brittany Snow, the actress who played Mandy Mackey in the Hulu series.
Oh, she played in the series. Oh, that's who it was.
Perfect. And yep.
My wife just told me that's the girl who played Mandy Mackey. All right. She's over yelling at me.
This is the kind of psychopath we're talking about. He's just to taunt Mandy.
Yeah.
He posts these insane AI things. And here's the funny part. There's like these lonely old women who think this is real. He's got like 3 people who will like his stuff from time to time. And they're like, "Oh, look
You
at
know,
you."
he's the kind of guy that dads fantasize about, like getting alone in a room with for just 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. You say something to my daughter. Give me 5 minutes alone. It's all, you know what? Make it 45 seconds. 45 seconds.
That's all it would take.
That's all I ask. Just let me do my thing for
But
45 seconds.
do you see the kind of mental illness that it would require
Yeah.
to sit around and go, "Oh, I'm gonna make an AI picture of myself with the actress that played Mandy, and I'm gonna put my hands on her in a very inappropriate place."
Unfortunately, I'm very familiar with this type.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you probably have him in your family for all the time. All right, and let's remember what he really looks like. Okay. He fantasizes about him being on the sides of buses. But he's not. This is not real. This is AI, because remember, this is what he looks like.
At his best, at his absolute best, he's like the Timu version of that guy from Succession, Logan.
Guy.
He's like the discount version of Logan from Succession on HBO. He's like the guy to stand in, like, let's just take a picture and see, conceptualize what it's going to look like. All right, now get the fuck out of here. Their actors are coming in. Go get me a sandwich. That's the guy. That's him.
Yep. Okay, here's more. He was on 60 Minutes.
Why is he doing this? Like, what's the point? Like, what's he getting out of this? I don't understand.
What do you, I mean, you see a guy like somewhere in his 60s, obviously. Like, what do you think of someone who does this? What is the
How old
only
is this guy?
conclusion you can
Seriously.
come to?
How old is this guy actually?
I don't know. I'm just guessing from what he looks like.
I'm guessing he's got to be about 68.
He's got to be in his 60s.
Even the picture that you're looking at is probably heavily filtered, I'm guessing. He's probably 68 years old and he enjoys collecting like berets or those little hats.
No.
Eee, what is
What?
that?
What?
I don't understand. What's going on with this guy, man?
Okay, here's another. Okay, do you know what this one is? So the day that was supposed to be her deposition. So here's what happened. She said, "I'm not going to go to the office that you want me to go to for the deposition. I'm going to go here." Okay. The place they wanted her to go to. And Mark Tinsley took the stand today in the hearing, and he described it. And because Liz was already deposed a while back, and Mandy, they wanted her like all day. They said even like 2 days. It's crazy. It's like, what do you think this woman knows? Like,
That's what I'm
what
saying. It's like,
exactly are you trying to get to? She is not a party to this case. Leave her alone.
so
She,
you've been following this case. Like, what is it that you think that they're trying to get from her? Like, what
they are
testimony?
just harassing her, because here's what they did to Liz. They asked Liz all kinds of inappropriate, irrelevant questions. They asked her questions about her salary. Listen to this. She's been divorced I don't know how many years. They asked her questions about her divorce and her ex-husband. That is not appropriate. That is none of their business. It has no relevance whatsoever to a boat crash conspiracy case, but that's what they did to her. They deposed another woman, and you know what one of the questions was? That Deborah Barbier asked her, in addition to, "Do you know Cassidy O'Connell? Do you know where she lives?"
Mhm.
They asked her, "Have you ever eaten Parker's chicken wings?" or something like
You know what? No joke. In depositions, I'm pretty
are
lax.
What's
Like,
that?
I'll let in depositions, I will let questions go. But if they ask my client questions like that, I would instruct them not to answer and tell them to fuck off and file a motion for sanctions
Right?
if it's appropriate. I'm instructing my client not to answer that because that question is stupid.
We're going to go through Liz's affidavit about her experience, but they also then leaked her deposition for people to read.
Oh boy.
Afterwards. Yep. Parker's chicken. Yes, Kel. Parker's chicken butts.
Parker's chicken, man. I'll tell you, is that like a Canadian? You know what? I gotta tell you, we were on vacation, right? And then my daughter saw the Canadian flag because like this place, this resort that we're on, had all the flags. She's like, "Look, Dad, it's the American flag for syrup." Well, she's told that to my wife. "Look, Mom, it's the American flag for syrup." And then I'm thinking, what syrup bottle has the Canadian flag on it? I couldn't.
Maple.
I guess.
That's so cute. Okay. Oh my goodness, you're kidding. Are you for real, V? Like you looked it up? He's only 59 years old.
Oh yeah, never been to the gym a day in his life. I was right. Everything I thought about this guy is true. It's confirmed by his actual age being 59. There's no way he's only 59.
Okay, so back to what this picture is. So she goes to a different law office and she lets them know, I'm available here for you. She was willing to do it like there or through Zoom, and they are like not having it. They will not come like the few-minute walk from one office to the other. And in the exhibits, there's a picture of a map that shows how close they were to her. They would not budge. And she's like, I do not feel safe there. She had arranged for security and she had her husband there. Her husband is the co-owner of her media company. It's very relevant for him to be there. They don't want him there because they want to harass and intimidate her.
By the way, in South Carolina, what is their protocol when it comes to Zoom depositions?
It's allowed. I went through their rules today.
Yeah.
But the glorious Mark Moore and Deborah Barbier are like, anyone can Zoom but Mandy.
No, she's
not
not
a party to the case.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I got a lot of experience with this.
What's that?
I have a lot of experience when a witness is a non-party to the case, like 99% of the time, they allow them to appear via Zoom or remotely. Because what are we doing? We're going to call in like this random third party that has nothing to do with the case because she may have something relevant. No, man, that's not a part of the case. They don't have to appear in person. Certainly not at court hearings. Right. I mean, unless we're doing a trial or something. Honestly, even at trials, my non-party witnesses are given a pass and they're allowed to testify via Zoom. Now, when it comes to subpoena, even like subpoenas they're a lot more. It's not a trial. It's more lax. Even parties to the case, most of the time, are allowed to appear via Zoom. So this idea that she must come in and face the scrutiny of the attorneys face to face and everybody else is going to be in the room and the court reporter, that's nonsense. For what purpose does that serve? What are your questions? Ask your questions, get the answers. If you think you need more, whatever, you'll have the ability to subpoena her to appear at a trial for testimony. But for a deposition, kiss my ass is what I would say to that. I don't understand it.
Yeah. Okay, now look at this one. Oh, let me finish this. So she stays there till noon, and they just absolutely refuse to show up. They file instead. They file sanctions against her, and that's what this hearing today came from, because they like want action taken against her, and they want the court to say, you have to come where we say, when we say, and you have to answer all of the questions that we ask you, whether we ask you about whether or not you've eaten Parker's chicken wings or what we choose to ask you, you have to be there. So after she waited till noon and like they're not coming, she goes out to lunch in Savannah. And so he is pretending that he's in Savannah, but he can't leave the state. And look who he's pretending is there with him. And you could see it's AI. I mean, that's not Buster's actual face. It looks very, very similar to Buster, but you could see that's not actually Buster. And look at the finger. There's always like all in his AI stuff. There's all these little glitchies, that show it's AI, it's not real.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like, even though he's written these books for Alex Murdaugh, this family has never one time given him the time of day, nor have Alex's attorneys. It's like, why are you doing all of this, you moron? They don't even care about you. But
I guess I got to expand on my psychological profile a little bit. 58 years old. Let's just assume he's 58.
I think she said 59, right?
59. So he's 59. Let's just say that he's not accomplished the way that he thought he was going to be accomplished at 59 when he was a boy at 24. And now here he is, and he's got like this inroads to this very famous case from like 3 years ago when they rendered a verdict, 2 years ago, whenever it was. And like he is making himself a thing when he shouldn't be a thing. He's my profile of him is former incel or current incel, unaccomplished in life, extremely disappointed with the direction that his life has taken, and is trying to manifest some semblance of relevancy with respect to this case that is really like a sideshow distraction from the main case, which was over like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really sad existence.
Yeah. And he's one of the main ones out there that really, really wants Alex to get a retrial, because then he can relive his glory days of actually having people watch him on TikTok. So,
Yeah.
but he's decided that he's a journalist. He never went to journalism school. He has no background in it. But he just one day said, I'm a journalist and I have a news agency. And so he pretends that he has a news agency with staff and everything. I mean, it is so delusionally sad.
Yeah.
But like, here's him talking about it and about the trolls and the journal. He's always talking about these invisible trolls, and and they're always women. And here's another one. And see, look at this. We're jealous. And yeah, he's
jealous of that guy. That freaking wannabe Trump with his red.
Omar, come on, be real. You know you're jealous.
So jealous. I love those glasses, man.
No.
I really got to start going to the gym because I got to match that guy's physique, man. He's got me beat. Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder what he sounds like. Does he have a high pitched voice?
No, he sounds like he's gargled razor blades. It's really bad. It's
he's got one of those what do you call that? Like a vocal fry voices?
No, it's like
Alex Jones.
Like he gargled razor blades. I don't know how it's no, it's
like
really bad.
I sound like this. I'm 50 years old. I've never had.
Like he's wheezy at the same time.
Oh, I can't do wheezy. I don't even know what that. I thought I had it nailed, and then you mentioned wheezy, and
you have a little too much voice in there. It is like, no, it's crazy. It's
so he sounds like he's always out of breath.
Yeah,
with a vocal fry.
I wouldn't say vocal fry. It's like, you know what, you're gonna have to, as much as I would hate for him to get a view, because I'm petty. I am so petty. I will not click on somebody's story or their video if I don't like them. I'm like, I know it's only one view, I know it's only one, but I will not do it. Like, these are all screenshots from somebody else.
Oh, I know. You know what? I got it. I have it. Okay. So I went to the golf course today. Man,
that's it.
I fell in love. The Alex Murdaugh case.
That's almost it. Yeah.
I think that's the guy. I think that's it.
There we go.
You go to Parker Fried Chicken.
It is so bad. I am, Christina, so petty. I'm just like, oh goodness, yeah. You're not getting a view from me if I don't like you. Forget about it.
I'm never gonna do that again. That like hurt my vocal cords to do that.
Look at this, okay? This is mental illness, Omar. This is what he posted. This is what scared her, as it would scare any woman.
You know, I mean, I gotta imagine the level of fear. Like there's levels of this, right? And so she was a reporter testifying in a case where Alex Murdaugh and all of his powerful cronies really didn't want information to get out. So she probably received a whole harp of like a criticism and pressure to not do the things and report on the things that she was doing. And that was starting way back when. And so now here's this guy, keeping up with, whatever it is that he's doing with these AI images. I can only imagine like the level of trolls. And probably not even this guy. There's probably trolls that we don't even know about that she's had to deal with, where her fear is 100% justified. But it doesn't matter because she took a picture in a bathing suit in her backyard, so therefore it's all erased.
Oh, exactly. It's her fault.
Yeah, totally.
Fault. Yeah, how dare she? What was she thinking?
Enjoy the sun in your backyard. Get out of here with that. She's not really afraid.
Go sit in your closet and rock back and forth and suck your thumb. Okay, that's the only way that you can show you're not okay.
Yeah.
If you dare to step out in your swimming pool with your husband and post about it.
I'll tell you what, man, that Barbieri lawyer is one of the reasons why I genuinely despise attorneys. I'm not friends with any attorneys. That's not true. I am friends with some attorneys. They're just not my favorite people, is what I would say.
Yeah, because of people like her. Mostly
Yeah.
defense attorneys. I'm like, when you take on, if you take on people like that, all right, it's one thing when you are a public defender and you have no choice. You've got to
Yep.
represent your client. It's your job. I get that. But when you have a long career, you're coming to the end of it. You've got money. You've bought your stuff. You don't need all that, but you sell your soul to represent the
Yeah.
lowest of the low. I don't think you're a good person.
You know what's funny about that?
There's nothing you can say to convince me that you're a good person. She represented the man who sat on this woman's hospital bed, who was broken to bits, who is still having surgery years and years later, had like 15 surgeries. Her son was made quadriplegic from the accident. And then like the day after Alex wins his case, he mysteriously gets unplugged. He's in a facility, cannot move by himself for anything, and somehow his machine gets unplugged. Nobody knows why or how. And it gets found a half an hour later. He's brain dead, lives his body lives for, I don't know, like a day or so, and then he's gone. Like it's such a weird story. And then this is that woman. And that's who they chose to steal from. That's who Corey helped. Wait. Yeah. That one. And then the Satterfields. So, and she defended
about what you were saying about defense attorneys being bad people. Robert Mueller, the guy that just passed away, former director of the FBI, very famously tried his hand at defense work. And the reason why he couldn't do it was he would get these clients and he'd like look at all the evidence and he'd ask them questions and they'd be like, so what do you think? He's like, well, I think that you should be in jail. How about that? I'll tell you.
That would totally be me. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do that. I just couldn't do it.
I stopped doing criminal defense a long time. I will say this. The only criminal cases where I was representing the defendant that I ever took to trial or really full on represented were people that I genuinely believed were innocent or had a case.
Yeah. Well, like Brian Friedman and Kevin Fritz and Ellen Garofalo and Shapiro, I adore them because they are defending people who are not guilty of what they're being accused of.
But I'll tell you what, I've had people where I've done the Robert Mueller thing. Yeah, I think you should be. I have taken. He's like, you know what? I would have to represent people because I worked for a firm and I was doing criminal defense and they would assign me cases. I had no ability to choose. They told me who to represent. And so I was like, all right, well, I guess we're going to work out a deal where you're going to say that you're guilty. What do you want me to do? You want me to walk in front of a jury and say that you didn't do these things that the jury could very clearly see that you did on video?
Yeah, because nobody's buying it.
I legit had it was a sexual assault case by way of intoxication. And there's my guys literally that I was representing was literally on video, like dumping a bottle of Buchanan whiskey. I mean, like the most bottom shelf whiskey you could think of, down this girl's throat as she's like basically nearly unconscious. I'm like, yeah, that's a bad video. I don't know how you think I'm going to argue to a jury that you were just having a good time at a party. Get out of here with that. And then there was other facts for the case. And anyway, I didn't last as that guy's defense attorney. He ended up firing me and getting a public defender, which was just as well. It's like, hey, I don't believe in your defense, man. I don't know what to tell you. If you want me to say these things, you're going to have to get a different attorney. And they did, which I thought was fair.
Good for you. Yeah, my face has captions. I'd never get away with it, even if I could make myself tell the lie, which I don't think I do. My face has captions. You know what I'm thinking when I'm looking at.
I'm totally going to steal it. My face has captions, bitch. And so,
absolutely. So, just more mental illness. Okay, and now we have him going after her husband. So this is her husband, and why? Why are you doing this, crazy man?
Which one is
Why
her
are
husband? The guy with the Nationals hat?
What's that?
He's the guy with the black hat on with the W?
No, that's Will Folks.
Oh.
That used to be Mandy Matney's boss when she was at
Oh.
Fitz News. He's
Okay.
actually being sued by Mark Tinsley as well.
So her husband is the guy with the pink hat on?
Yes.
Oh, gotcha.
And why are you posting her husband, you sicko? Like, why?
Yeah, he's
Why are you
clearly
doing
trying to be cute and he's trying to intimidate.
Yeah, it's obsessive.
Yeah.
And look at it, Mandy Matney, blah blah blah. I don't know. These are just screenshots that were shared with me. I don't have Facebook, and I think some of this is Facebook. And I made a TikTok just to preserve my name on it, because once I found out that someone had pretended to be Andy Senior from Popcorn Planet when we were all getting subpoenaed together.
Mhm.
I was like, I better reserve my name on there before somebody does that to me. But because I don't want somebody taking my name and then going putting crazy stuff out there. But
Yeah.
I never use it. I'm not a fan of it, especially when they started muting people. I'm like, and I can't um not condone, but like promote a company that does that. No way. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so I don't know, like I just feel like there's probably a million more of these than what I have. But this is what I grabbed from the selection I had
So this
today.
is his AI collection. So he's really into this AI stuff. What do you think
Yeah.
the odds are that he's like engaged in like AI generative porn images of people that he's trying to intimidate?
Please don't make me go.
I'm just saying, I just had a case where I found out that that was a thing. Like
Wait,
people,
wait, I misunderstood what you said. Please repeat that. What?
I had a case where this guy, he's a man scorned, and he was making AI porn images of his ex and posting them in places,
Oh my
and
gosh.
even with
What
family
a sick
members.
thought.
And so I was making the connection that this is probably that kind of a guy.
Oh my gosh, probably. I would not doubt it.
My wife just
Oh,
said it's happened to
that
her.
is sick, Omar. Why do people think like that? AI is gonna be I mean, we're already like one
I
level
already
above.
don't trust anything that I see, man. I already just assume that something is bullshit about this image. It's like
Oh, well,
information.
I mean, is it Keanu and Tom and The Rock and what's this guy's name? I forgot his name.
Oh, Keanu, Tom Cruise. Is that Tom Cruise? I can't see.
Yeah, it's AI Tom Cruise and
The
The
Rock.
Rock. I
I
can't
don't
think
know
of
who
the
that other
other guy.
bald headed guy is.
I know him, but I can't think of his name.
Vin
Somebody will
Diesel? Is that Vin Diesel? No,
Yes, that's it.
it is. All right.
I think so. I think that's who it's supposed to be. The AI version. Yeah. So I mean, all I can think of is mental illness
What a clown, man. I don't see the appeal of making AI generated images of yourself and posting them.
and
for
pretending that's your life. Like what?
I don't know.
And here he is stalking another woman,
Hmm.
and like he'll do this. This is not the first time. There's a woman that he stalks. I don't. Well, it's not my story to tell, but he will put different bits of her address in different posts, like a city in one and the street name in another, stuff like that. Like this guy is next level.
Crime casket journalist. Is this a guy that needs to be exposed?
Yeah.
I think he does. It sounds like he's the kind of guy that needs to be exposed.
hmm So he has put these people together. So Julie Carpenter, I follow her on X. She was a big Murdaugh follower, and she came up. I mean, she was so smart. She'd come up with this stuff real smart and post it. And then she's moved on to the Karen Reed case too. I mean, this woman is so busy with that. Like these, he thinks that he's still existing in her brain, and that she is Julie Sims, somebody I guess who has posted about. I don't know who Julie Sims is, who has posted about him somewhere, but he thinks that these are all the same woman. And it's like Julie Carpenter is this beautiful redhead woman on Twitter who's got an absolute gorgeous family, interesting life. She is not wasting her days on this man. So, but yeah, in his mind,
I'll tell you what,
she
there is
is.
part of me that like wants to make a video like exposing this guy, but there's another part of me that doesn't want to give him that kind of attention. But there's still
They won't
another
find
part of
you
me
if you're
that
a
like
man.
there's another part of me that wishes and hopes that he would dare try to depose me. Do it. Depose me then.
Yeah.
Because I'll show up at the deposition as a problem. So I'll show up. Ask me whatever you want.
Yep.
Oh, this guy. I don't know, man. What a creep.
Yeah. So, I mean, would you, if you were a woman who has, that this guy is obsessively posting about you
Yeah.
constantly, would you not be like, okay, I need a safe place?
You
And
know,
then
I have I'll tell you what,
go ahead.
I have daughters. I'm a girl dad, well
Mhm.
documented. I live with nothing but women. And so, you know, the reality is that women in general, no matter what their age, young or small or old or whatever, they're not safe. They're
Nope.
not. You even
Never.
remarked to me like you're not. You don't feel like you're safe traveling on a plane if you're
Nope.
by yourself because you don't know what the guy sitting next to you is going to do, and he might be like have the best of intentions. He's just like some guy trying to make it home, but you don't feel safe enough to fall asleep because of the fear of what may happen because of all the creeps out there. And there's lots. And if somebody, even this guy, even this 59-year-old guy that's never seen a day in the gym of his life, if he decided to like try to like go in on you and like attack you and you're by yourself, you're in danger. And men do not have to live with that constant fear. Yeah. Yeah. And so like I was just telling my wife before I came on the live, don't ever fight anybody. You're just like a delicate flower. Just don't.
Yeah.
Like, don't ever. You know what's so funny? My daughter was arm wrestling me earlier today at the dinner table because she said, "Why do you always get to sit there?" It's like, because I can see everything from this vantage point.
Mhm.
This is where the king sits. She's like, I want to be the king. It's like, if you want to be the king, then you have to arm wrestle me. She's like, okay. So she's trying to arm wrestle me. We're at the dinner table arm wrestling. And as she's trying to like put all of her leverage into it, somehow she slams her face into the table and starts crying about it. And she's like, oh, and then she's like, but she shook it off. And then she's like, Dad, I just wanted you to respect me. He's like, listen, I respect your effort. And it doesn't matter that you didn't win. All that matters is that you tried your best. And you know what? You sacrificed yourself. You smashed your face in search of victory. And that will always gain my respect, no matter where you at or however old you are. And I let her sit in the same spot with me. Like we got to sit in the king's from the king's perspective. There's no king in my house. I'm just saying we were playing that game.
The protector.
Yeah. But it's just like she is thinking that way. But the reality is she's a girl. And she's like wondering, how come boys are always better at everything? It's like,
I'll tell you what, if I'm a woman and I appreciate women can do whatever job they want and I'm all for it. But if I'm in help and I need police, I want some big old men police. I don't want them sending somebody.
There be men police because just in case.
Now I have to say I think women are better detectives because we notice everything. But
I would agree.
Yeah, when it comes down to just the physicality of it, we don't stand a chance against a man.
Gabe Lunger says that I'm full of crap. He says, I'm a guy and I always keep an eye out for danger and trouble. Had a slight issue today with the male Karen. Yeah, but it's that is true. Like I think that men are always like scanning for low-level threats of danger and violence. But we're just never in the same danger. I'll tell you what, I will scan for that same danger, but I never feel like my life is in danger. I'm just aware. And then that's the difference.
Yep. Yeah, it's the same. My husband is always scanning, like on the lookout for me when I'm with him. He's probably not doing that when I'm not there, but that's what men do. They protect their families. And
I do that with my wife. Like we went out to we're at, I don't know, like some dance place or whatever for her sister's birthday. And she's like, why are you always scanning? Or I'm just, it's a habit. Like if she has to go like to the restroom, like I will walk her to the restroom and like wait for her to come out because you just never know when some dumbass is there up to no good. I don't know. It's just a thing that men learn how to do.
And then there's guys like this.
And then there's guys like this, and that's the kind of guy that we're trying to protect them from, honestly.
So while this is going on, so you know how depositions are not they're not broadcasts. It's not like people should know where they're going to be.
Yeah.
It's not public information usually. No one can go and attend it. Well, someone was feeding this guy information about her deposition. Like he knew where it was going to be. He posted like the town sign. It was supposed to be in Bluffton. He posts a sign of that just to stalk her, basically, to let her know that he knew where her deposition was. And then I showed you the one where he's in like the Barbie car, saying he's going to the deposition. He was posting stuff about fishing that morning. Oh, I'm fishing. I'm this. It's sick. And then he gets other people to do it. He had named somebody else. I thought I had it here, but I didn't put it up in the slides. But there's somebody else that he's friends with that he named, and then I saw that person is on vacation and posting themselves watching Mandy's hearing today. Like he is getting other people to stalk her as well. Like he's not happy to do it himself. He's got to have other people involved in it as well.
Honestly,
And
the more that I've seen about this, it's like her attorneys honestly should maybe file for a civil harassment injunction against this guy
that's
if
what
he's
I
going to
said.
be harassing
No
her.
charges against this man, but she did file something on Thursday. They talked about that in the hearing. I didn't quite hear because her voice wasn't picking up as well as the others, so it was really hard to hear what she was saying. So I didn't hear, but I it sounded like she said she filed something on Thursday. So
I mean, at the very least, we could get an order barring anybody other than the attorneys and the deposed witnesses from appearing at the deposition. It
yeah.
shouldn't be that difficult to do that.
So she said, she's like, I do not feel safe at that place. I feel safe in this. It was at a law firm. There was no reason that it could not be done there. She had arranged for security. And I only showed you that little segment of Deborah Barbier. She was awful. I don't have the whole thing, but just this that was with court permission. They filed and got permission to record that, so they have the whole thing. So probably at some point she's going to show more of that. But that Barbier woman was hideous, like the way she treated her. And I'm like, how can a woman treat another woman in this manner when you can see that she has legit reason to be afraid that and she Mark Moore and her both, they don't mind lying or completely misrepresenting things to the court. I've seen them do it so many times that, and it just, I'm like, how do you dare stand up in court and just like misrepresent things like this? Like you won't get caught. Like someone's not going to set this straight at some point. But anyway, what was the point of that? I lost myself somehow. What was she saying to Mandy?
That's around to lose myself all the time. Somehow we always find a way back to our Northern Star.
But this whole
hearing,
this whole hearing today was because she didn't show up for that. Yeah. And then they filed, this is what they filed. And Mark Moore is like, what you could say in 3 pages, he's got to make 30. It's ridiculous. Like I couldn't even read this whole thing. I'm so sickened by him that I used to appreciate like his, not his content, because he's an awful person and it always shows in his writing, but he was very organized and he always had like a nice table of authorities and a nice like the look of the thing, not the contents.
The formatting is great.
The formatting is great, but now I can't even appreciate that anymore. But he just babbles on and on and on. It's like he's trying to wear you down and make you just want to die. So, but I think this is like 30 pages. Sorry, that's the arm of my mic. But so here's what he's trying to do. He's submitting this to show cause regarding the deliberate no-show by non-party Mandy. She didn't do a no-show. She was somewhere that she invited you to be or to join by Zoom, and you refused. So she was not a no-show. To appear in person for her videotape deposition set for March 27th. And so here's what they want. They want her sanctioned and to order her to appear in person. Why? Why does it have to be in person so you can intimidate her?
Can we back up? So was this a planned videotaped deposition?
Yeah.
Then how is she a no-show for not appearing physically to the place?
Oh, I don't know. I guess she had said, I'm not going to go there. I don't feel safe there. This is where I'm safe, but they wouldn't. They were in different places. And
Oh,
from what I understand, I'm trying to remember, because some of this I read on Instagram a few days ago when they posted about some of it. I listened to on their podcast. They have a really good podcast. They talked about this too, and some of it was from the hearing today, and some of it was from these. Like it's like all mixed up in my head right now of where I heard what. But and now I explained all that and lost myself again. I'm getting sleepy. It's like 1:30 in the morning here.
yeah.
So yeah, I have no idea what I was trying to say.
Well, I'm gonna have to duck out here in about 5
Oh,
minutes. Yeah, but while you're finding your train of thought, I'm really anxious to watch this new documentary about a chess cheating scandal, whereby the person that was cheating was accused of cheating by inserting anal beads
No.
into an attorney. And there was some kind of a coded signal that would vibrate inside his anus that would somehow tell him the moves to play. I kid you not. It is a Netflix documentary, and I've been waiting for a month since I heard it was coming out, and I'm watching it tonight.
Okay. Well, don't let me keep you from that. Well, that's interesting. I'm not watching it.
You don't have to. I don't recommend it.
They're ordering her to appear in person at properly noticed date, time, and location of the Parker defendant's choosing. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. So someone is feeding that creep live stuff of what's happening. And somewhere along the line, I heard that Deborah Barbier was actually on Zoom herself, and that she was in Greg Parker's home, and that he was seen in a reflection on the mirror. Attending her deposition by Zoom with Barbier there with him. But they don't want her husband there. This is the rest of the stuff. They want her to answer all the questions for which she cannot in good faith assert a privilege recognized by the law, and extend the discovery period, because the discovery ended April 1st. So they got her deposition in right at the very end of it. And so they want an extension now so that they can depose her, and they want 2, not 1, but 2 depositions. How much information are they trying to get from this woman? What do they think she knows?
Yeah. Well, they should have. I mean, honestly, I don't know the underlying case. I don't know the merits of what it is that they're trying to prove necessarily, or what they think that this reporter is going to be able to contribute to their case in chief. But I know that she's a non-party. Usually when we depose non-parties, honestly, it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours tops. And honestly, I can usually get a non-party deposition done within 30 to 45 minutes, under an hour. And so I just couldn't imagine them needing 2 depositions, let alone a half day, a full day. Like, what is it that they need? I think that my instinct is that her attorneys should be filing motions to compress the deposition, or at least limit the scope of the deposition so that they're not there for 2 depositions. The fact that they want to schedule 2 separate depositions is a red flag to me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't need to know what questions are required that are going to take up 2 separate depositions, presumably 2 days of deposition for a non-party witness. Explain yourself, counsel.
Yeah, explain yourself. Exactly. Remember with Blake Lively, she said she didn't feel safe at the other law firm.
I remember.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a very secure law firm, not like what Liz had to go through at the other place.
Right.
But Blake won, remember? And she got to have it at her place.
Right.
And limited the time. She had 1 day. How many hours? Was it something like 5 hours? It was
right. It's not that hard to limit them. Honestly,
she is the person. She is the plaintiff in the lawsuit.
But the way that they did that deposition was telling. It's like, look, I don't care. You want to feel safe? We'll do it. You tell me where you're safe. And then they let her pick the place, and it's fine, we'll do it there. They didn't give a shit because they weren't their goal was not to intimidate. They just wanted to ask the questions, and they had all these protections in place. They wanted to limit the time. Fine, we'll limit the time. They weren't out there to try to do nefarious things in the scope of a deposition. Is the point? And it's a red flag to me, and I'm wondering why. And maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. It just feels like her attorney should be asking for protections from this judge, and maybe they're going to, or maybe they already have.
They filed, and it wasn't granted. I don't understand.
I'm at a loss then. I'm honestly, I'm really at a loss.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, look at Greg Parker was visibly there via Zoom at the deposition when they were screaming at her to walk across and leave her safe space. Yeah, there was screaming. There was abusive screaming, and I'm glad that she mentioned that to the judge today.
Yeah.
And hopefully he seemed to be listening, and he was taking copious notes throughout the whole thing. But they do not want her husband there either. To me, it's one big intimidation tactic, and they go through because she wanted to limit the scope. After she found out what Liz's experience was, she's like, no, because when you're at a deposition, you kind of have to answer pretty much everything they ask you. And she's like, you can't ask me these kinds of things. And so they're coming through going, oh, she doesn't want this and doesn't want that. And they've got issues with it. They're like, you've got to tell her she has to answer everything. In fact, Chance trying to get me to answer stuff like this at a deposition.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I'm her attorney and they start yelling and screaming at my client, deposition's over. If they start chastising her, intimidating her, berating her, deposition is over. Ask your questions, and I'll instruct her not to answer questions that I think are stupid. And if you want to write me up for a motion for sanctions, then write your motions. But we're here, and you can ask whatever you want. And if I don't like the question, I'm going to tell her not to answer it. And if you got problems with it, then take it up with, write your motions against me. I'm instructing my clients not to answer. Kiss my ass. Good day,
and here's
sir.
the law you could use from the South Carolina Code of Regulations. So during the taking of a deposition, a party or the witness may request suspension of the deposition on the grounds of bad faith.
Right.
When you start screaming at me, forget it.
Right.
In the conduct of the examination, oppression of the witness or party, or improper questioning or conduct. Upon request for suspension, the deposition will be adjourned. The objecting party or witness must immediately move the adjudicator for a ruling on the objections. The adjudicator may then limit the scope or manner of taking the deposition. You're not getting free rein to ask me whatever. I mean, I spent a good portion of this time going up to the end of discovery in Europe, and I'll go there again if I think they're coming at me again. And you know what? Try to get me there. And if you try, I'll go to Peru because you can't. Peru doesn't cooperate.
I'll go to Peru.
I'll go to Peru. Bitch. I can go wherever the heck I want. You better believe I will.
It's the Peru defense.
Peru does not, because even China has cooperation with the United States. So that you can be deposed there, but Peru doesn't.
I love that.
I was ready. You know me, I'm always gone.
I'm going to Peru, bitch. I'll see you all when I see you.
I'll see you. Try to depose me when I'm touring Machu Picchu. And I love to see that. I love to say that word, Machu Picchu. But,
I've never been, but I'm sure it's wonderful. It's definitely cool to say.
Yeah, it's so fun to say. So she responded to it, but you got to go. So I do want to read Liz's affidavit, but if you don't want to stick around for that, you don't
read it with you. Why not? We can do it. I will put the anal beans on hold.
Because this is juicy. So this tells you what she knew that she was up against. And she's like, heck no. So
somebody's gonna clip that, and I just said I will put anal beads on hold. They're gonna take that completely out of context.
Okay.
To be clear, the anal beads are not for me. It is a story on Netflix. It has just never mind.
You brought it up. You brought this up yourself. All right, let me see where, because there's several pages. So if I can shorten it up, let me see where I want to start. So we see her history. She began covering it with Matney.
Oh boy, it's an MG law raid. How about that? And
What's
they're coming in right when we were talking about anal beads on a Cassidy O'Connell stream. Omar, now the denial is looking a little odd. I'm just saying, look, the guys.
You know what they say about that?
Oh, thou doth protest too much. Look, Hans Niemann was an up-and-coming chess player, and he was playing the greatest chess player of all time, Magnus Carlsen. And in an effort to try to gain notoriety within the chess community, he decided to. The allegation is that he devised an elaborate cheating system that involved the insertion of anal beads and a remote vibrating system that would somehow alert him to play the proper move against the world champion Magnus Carlsen. And he beat Magnus Carlsen. And it was a scandal that was all the rage. And that's what this Netflix documentary is about, as Cassidy O'Connell regains her train of thought. That was my introduction to the MG raid.
Train of thought completely down the drain. So in April or May of 2020, attorney Mark Tinsley asked if I knew anyone in Beaufort County who might be interested in taking part in 2 focus groups related to the beach case. I messaged a number of professional acquaintances along with some friends to let them know about the opportunity and gave them a name and email address of the person they should contact should they be interested in participating. Though I had spoken with Mr. Tinsley over the phone, I had not met him in person. I had no further role in organizing these groups. Mandy Matney was not asked to take part, nor had any role in this. I did not receive compensation for this, nor was it something that would have warranted compensation. No reasonable person would have thought they were doing anything more than a casual favor for a friend. It was akin to being asked if I knew anyone who would be suitable to be a babysitter, dog walker, or handyman. Out of personal interest, I asked Mr. Tinsley if I could observe the focus group. He agreed, and I did so at his office. This was the first time we met in person. I've never met him in person. Afterward, I gave him feedback. This was in April or May of 2020, when I was working for the county and had no intention of returning to journalism. I mention this only to explain my decision not to challenge Mr. Parker's subpoena to depose me in July 2025. I did not believe this observation would be considered privileged under the Reporter's Shield law. Around June or July of 2020, the Beach family produced a video they intended to use as part of the mediation process. Mr. Tinsley asked me for my feedback on this as well. I watched it and gave him suggestions. I do not remember what my suggestions were. I have not seen or had access to this video since that time, nor have I seen or had any access to the video that was presented in mediation in 2020. To this date, I have never published images, video clips, or information gleaned from my observation of the focus groups or viewing of the draft video. Any information I have since published about the boat crash investigation and civil case has been sourced to public records. That's what you got to do. You got to stay safe and stick with what's in print. In June 2021, Paul Murdaugh and his mother, Maggie, were murdered at the family's hunting property in Islandton, South Carolina. Shortly after, Mandy Matney, who was then working for Fitz News, published her first episode of Murdaugh Murders podcast, based on her real-time reporting of the boat crash and murder cases. In November 2021, I left the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office to join Fitz News. I wanted to be part of the Murdaugh reporting team for both Fitz News and the podcast. In late November 2021, I received an off-the-record tip from a source in the documentary film industry that a sizzle reel, a short video previewing an upcoming documentary series for Discovery ID, was circulating, and that it included images of Mallory Beach's dead body. I contacted the Beach's family attorney, Mark Tinsley, to let him know about the video before writing about it for Fitz News. You want to read for a bit? Is that okay?
Sure. At the time, documentary film producers and others in the industry had swarmed the Low Country. Some were aggressive and cutthroat in competing for exclusive interview and content. This particular situation was unusual, and it was unclear how this group had obtained these images, as they were not subject to FOIA and had not been released to the media. Prior to seeing this video, I had not seen any images related to Mallory Beach's body or her autopsy. To this day, I have not seen any images of Mallory's body beyond this video, nor have I ever had these photos in my possession in any way, shape, or form. In addition, I have not known Fitz News, Mandy, Matney, David Moses, or Luna Shark to have seen these images or possessed them in any way, shape, or form. I include this professional background for the court's consideration and to set records straight on my credentials as a journalist.
No, I'm going to interrupt you just to ask you, as an attorney, okay, you get affidavits like this from these girls, and supposedly this is all you need to know is whether or not they had access or were given access to this stuff. They have said they don't. What is the need to continue to depose them after this for 2 days?
If you think they're lying,
Oh.
would be really the crux of it. Honestly, I would get a deposition like, or I would get an affidavit like that. I just can't imagine what it is that they're trying to glean from these particular witnesses. I mean, they're the defense. Is their argument somehow that the story was somehow manufactured, prejudicing their clients against liability somehow? I mean, is that what they're trying to argue? I just don't understand
How it
what they're trying
started.
to do.
Let me tell you, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that I have 4, because I print everything out and I bind it if it's big. I have 4 like 3-inch binders of this case that has continuously been Mark Moore accusing Mark Tinsley and Tabor Vox of leaking this information to them and leaking it to the press. And they don't, I think they have no idea how to defend. They're getting paid probably millions of dollars, and they don't have a case. This is that's why I called him a one-trick pony, because all he's been able to do is attack the attorneys. And now that the court finally ruled and said, no, the attorneys stay in, now it's like, okay, it's Mandy. It's all Mandy.
Yeah.
Because that's another way of attacking Mark, because he's attacking Mark by saying, oh, he was talking to these reporters and giving them this information and must have been paying them. It's I don't get it. Build a better case, because what are you going to do when you get to trial? You have no case.
I gotta imagine that Tinsley and the attorneys that they're accusing of acting in bad faith have probably filed motions for sanctions against them. Like, is that on the table, or is this just like a one-sided attack on their credibility?
I can't remember them filing sanctions back.
Because I mean, it's sanctionable. You can't just accuse attorneys of that kind of stuff without having some.
My 4 separate 3-inch binders, and I've got enough now to start my next binder. So, like, I'll have 5, and I'm not kidding by saying they're 3 inches thick of this case.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I just got to tell you, you're right that they're one-trick ponies, and they're focusing so heavily on this because their defense sucks.
Yeah.
And so they're saying wrongdoing of the attorneys, wrongdoing of the reporters, wrongdoing of everybody but their client. That stinks to me of bad faith litigation.
Yeah.
If I were
like Blake's case, but worse.
But way worse, because at least in Lively's case, like, there's some modicum of like argument on both sides. On this case, they're just fishing. Like, what are we doing? You're fishing for bad faith actions by Tinsley and the journalists that were invested. What is it that you're looking for? I need some kind of an offer of proof. Why is it that you believe that they're acting in bad faith? What specifically did they do? And what do you have to support your claims? And if there's nothing, that to me, in California, it would be sanctioned relentlessly for that kind of conduct. I don't know what the rules are in South Carolina.
I don't remember if there's been sanctions. I'll have to go through and look at some of that stuff again. I mean, they've put a really good fight back, and the judge did this new judge has gotten a lot of rulings out of the way that were kind of just like left in limbo, because like I said, he's the 3rd one. And so, but yeah, he ruled that they could stay in, and he also put, because they got a bunch of stuff taken out as supposed work privilege, but he got a bunch of that restored, and so they were able to get to the bottom that it was Greg Roman, like they had thought all along. They actually got his name from the private investigators, because they were finally able to depose the private investigators, I think last summer. And they gave the name. It was that Greg Roman, just like he thought. And so I think everything that Mark thought was true is actually true, and he can't hide it or fight it anymore. And so this is all he's got.
I see.
And I think my name ended up in there because I'm outspoken, and I, called him Mr. Smee and things like that.
Mr. Smee is great. I love Mr. Smee. It was one of my favorite things to do when I was like 5, just like yell out Smee. I'm chasing my little brother. Shut up, Smee.
So you were Captain Hook, huh?
I was Peter Pan chasing captors, Mr. Smee.
Oh,
Or my
okay.
brother was Mr. Smee because he was the dorky one, right?
Yeah.
Nobody
And
was
that's
Captain Hook.
kind of what it looks like, Mark Moore.
Yeah, my brother was not cool enough to be Captain Hook, so he was Smee, and I like
Okay.
saying it better.
Oh, and you were Peter. I got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course I was Peter Pan when I was 5. But anyway, Cassidy, I hate to do this, but it is time to go.
Okay. All right. I'm going to finish reading this real quick to the rest of the group that's here, because this gets into her experience with the attorneys. So,
Yeah.
but thank you so much for joining and for your input.
Thanks for having me. It's always good to stream with you. We gotta do it more often. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we got to finish the Hulu series too. We got 2 more episodes.
I'll tell you what. Whenever you want to do episode 7, just send the bat signal, and I will be there.
All right. I'll make my slides.
All right, for sure. Your muley slides and screenshot.
My weekly slides. Absolutely. All right.
All right,
Have a
folks.
good night.
I love you all. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, just me. So I'm going to finish reading this just because it just really shows what these women have been up against and are still up against. So Greg Parker's attorneys have used the public filing system as a way to manufacture and perpetuate a perverse and dishonest narrative about who I am and what I do as a journalist. This dishonest narrative, in turn, continues to be published and used by bad actors who want to harm my hard-earned reputation and credibility as a journalist, which in turn affects my ability to earn a living. This dishonest narrative has once again caused me to fear for my personal safety and has caused great personal distress. While I understand Mr. Parker's legal team's job is to formulate a winning defense in the civil case, they have gone too far. And much like the core accusations contained in the Beach family's December 2021 complaint, they have employed tactics that I believe have crossed the boundaries of professional and ethical conduct. This includes traveling to Baltimore to depose me for 8 hours. As I mentioned, I chose not to challenge Mr. Parker's subpoena and instead appeared for my deposition on November 3rd, 2025. I did this in good faith, but also with the misguided thought that by not fighting Mr. Parker's attorneys, they would see that I had nothing to hide and would therefore end their targeting of me. That plan did not work. I think it's also important to note that Mr. Parker's attorneys, who have publicly described my deposition as painful to arrange, did not make scheduling the deposition easy. I received their subpoena after 8:30 p.m. on June 24th, 2025. The process server nosed around the outside of my house and took pictures, including of my car, before ringing the doorbell. As I will explain later, this was unsettling. How many creeps are involved in this case? They scheduled the deposition for July 28th, the same day I was summoned for jury duty in Hartford County, which I let Mr. Mark Moore know that same evening, copying Mr. Mark Tinsley. This is when I found out that Mr. Parker's attorneys had not let the plaintiff's attorney know about this subpoena or this deposition date. I had to send the documents to Mr. Tinsley directly. That is sneaky. In addition to deposing me, Mr. Parker's attorneys had subpoenaed an objectively broad list of items to include 7 years of communication with my reporting colleagues, 7 years of stories I had written, and podcast transcripts, all of which are publicly available, along with a whole host of financial records that simply do not exist because, as stated, I have never been paid to write a single word for or by the Beach family or anyone connected to them. In other words, it was clear Mr. Parker's attorneys were deposing me based on a mere hunch and not based on fact-based knowledge gained through the discovery process. In fact, it is worse than that. Mr. Parker's attorneys were deposing me based on suppositions posited online by fringe commentators, people whose credibility falls apart the moment you examine their backgrounds. In response to my email regarding jury duty, Mr. Moore told me he was willing to consider my request, as if I were requesting a schedule change to accommodate a personal endeavor. I emailed him proof of the summons, and the date was changed to July 23rd, a Wednesday. Mandy and I have been very vocal in public about Wednesdays being the day we finish our scripts and record. In fact, not on a Wednesday has been a running joke on our show for years, something Mr. Parker's attorneys would have been aware of given the close attention they pay to our work. I do not think it is a coincidence that the deposition was rescheduled for a Wednesday, or that my subpoena was delivered late on a Tuesday, when we are known to be on deadline. I asked Mr. Parker's attorneys how long the deposition would take. I let them know about this potential conflict, offering to make it work the afternoon of that Wednesday. They tentatively moved the deposition to August, but on a date that the other parties could not accommodate. Then I heard nothing from them for 20 days, until a few days before July 28th, the original notice date, when Mr. Parker's attorneys informed me they had granted my request not to appear on that date. The message was received. This was not about obtaining critical information for their case, which I did not have because their theory is completely fabricated and not based on a single shred of evidence. This was about harassment. Absolutely. It was about showing me that Mr. Parker, Mr. Moore, and Deborah Barbier, his two attorneys who represented co-conspirators of Alex Murdaugh, are angry at me and are using this litigation as cover for revenge. After telling me they were granting my request regarding jury duty, I did not hear from them again until October the 3rd, when they informed me that the new deposition was scheduled for October 29th, again a Wednesday, in Baltimore, nearly an hour from where I live. I reminded them that I could not do a Wednesday and told them I would make any other day of the week work. I was sternly informed by Mr. Moore that in his career, no other deponent had ever taken this position. Oh, well, la-di-da. Ultimately, after further back and forth, we settled on November 3rd. Mr. Parker's attorneys did not inform me that I was entitled to witness fees and mileage reimbursement, nor did they offer to pay me for the 50-minute drive from my home in Bel Air, Maryland, to downtown Baltimore, where the deposition was held. Nor did they offer to pay for my parking or meals. I did not receive one single penny from them for taking a full day off of work and traveling to a city I am not yet familiar with. South Carolina regulations say they have to pay your mileage and $25. They kept me there until after dark in one of the most dangerous cities in the country. Absolutely. Baltimore, for heaven's sake. And I had to ask attorneys Mark Tinsley and Tabor Vaux to walk me to the parking garage for safety. Though I have been a vocal critic of South Carolina's justice and legal systems, I do not believe Mr. Parker's attorney's behavior to be representative of the legal profession as a whole. But I do believe that to tolerate it is to condone it. Within the first hour of the deposition, Mr. Parker and his attorneys learned how wrong their theory was about Mr. Tinsley or anyone connected to the Beach family, employing me to write stories favorable to their side. I was open, honest, and answered Mr. Moore's questions to the best of my memory. But because the truth does not support their theory, Mr. Moore was inappropriately aggressive. Several times, he had to be told to lower his tone. Yeah, he's a yeller. Since Mr. Parker's team had exhausted their fact-finding mission in the first hour of the deposition, the next 7 hours were about keeping me in the chair. This makes me so angry. I could not have sat there, would not have sat there. I was asked questions about my ex-husband and my current relationship with him. What does that have to do with this? I was shown text messages purportedly between me and attorney Tabor Vaux in reference to questions I had asked Mr. Vaux about Corey Fleming, a Murdaugh co-conspirator currently serving prison time, who is also Deborah Barbier's client, shown to me twice. Mr. Moore berated me about referring to him by a nickname. I guess he wouldn't like Mr. Smee then. In a story I had written for Fitz News more than 3 years earlier. 3 years! See, this is about grudges. I had no memory of this. Mr. Moore asked me questions about tweets and stories for which he had no exhibits, stating for the record his incorrect impressions of what I had written or meant. In lieu of asking questions, Mr. Moore even had me read aloud to the camera the scheduling emails I had sent to the attorneys between June and October 25th related to the deposition. Was this a deposition or a filibuster? After Mr. Tinsley and Mr. Vox asked Mr. Moore whether they needed to change their evening flights, Mr. Moore was ambivalent. It took multiple requests over the course of hours for Mr. Moore to give them a straight answer, which he did not do until they were due to leave for the airport. Oh, these people are infuriating. When I left the deposition, I felt truly battered and utterly confused. Nothing they learned from me could possibly help help explain how Greg Roman and Vicky Ward came to possess photos of Mallory Beach's dead body. Mr. Parker's legal team has continued to use their manufactured theory about Mandy and me being paid by the Beach family to write stories, podcasts, blog posts, or social media content favorable to them. You know, we have minds of our own. We see situations and we want to talk about it. We're not paid to do these kinds of things. It's ridiculous. Mr. Parker's legal team has continued to use their manufactured theory about Mandy and me. Oh, I'm sorry, I started over. In an effort to distract the court and the public from the facts of the case while exacting revenge on two journalists whose reporting their client does not like. Over the past few months especially, I have sat by helplessly as they have used filings with this court to twist the truth of my words, misrepresent the facts ascertained in my deposition, and punish, insult, and degrade me for writing about the facts of this case. And I have sat by helplessly as information about my personal life and proprietary information about my life's work as a journalist, information that Mr. Parker and his legal team acquired through the discovery process, abuse of process, has needlessly been published in their court filings and perhaps worse, been routinely leaked and published to the public audiences by third parties, specifically who James Seidel, that guy I showed you earlier, of the crimeandcask.com website. This includes broadcasting my podcast salary to the public, as well as my personal phone number and home address. Sound familiar? See, this is what I'm talking about, this court trend that rich people are using. They know she didn't do this. There's no proof she did this. This is about revenge. There was no legitimate purpose beyond harassment for this highly personal information to be made public. Mr. Parker's attorneys have also facilitated the release of thousands of text messages purported to be between me, Mandy Matney, and two of our coworkers at Fitz News, Will Folks and Jennifer Wood. These texts were obtained by Callie Lyons, who is not a party to the texts and did not work at Fitz News at the time the texts were purportedly sent. Doesn't this sound like Jennifer Abel's phone being grabbed and putting here? Because that's exactly what it sounds like to me. Are they all working off the same playbook? Callie did not have permission to access these texts. More wiretapping, which she claims she obtained after her separation from Fitz News on or about September 9th, 2025, though Callie insists that these texts appeared on her phone. What kind of magic is that, Callie? This explanation is implausible. After her departure, Mr. Parker's attorneys brokered a deal with Callie, so sounds like Stephanie Jones' work, right? To receive the texts, which we consider to be stolen, in exchange for thousands of dollars. These texts, if authentic, would represent work product, and as such would be subject to challenge as privileged under the reporter's shield. Mr. Parker's attorneys were unable to obtain these texts through the regular discovery process, but found a way to obtain them through what we believe to be unethical and possibly criminal means. See? These texts have since been published without authentication and without context or proper attribution by Mr. Seidel, who I believe to be working with Mr. Parker's attorneys in some unofficial but mutually beneficial arrangement. By helping Mr. Parker's attorneys obtain these stolen text messages, Mr. Seidel was then able to rationalize them public under the guise of journalism. With these stolen text messages now officially part of Mr. Parker's defense, Mr. Seidel has been emboldened to use them to harm my reputation and credibility. Mr. Seidel's site, crimeandcast.com, purports to be a news source, but instead appears to have been created as a tool for Mr. Seidel to use in his relentless pursuit of harming my reputation and credibility, as well as that of Mandy Matney, our listeners and attorneys, Eric Bland, and Mark Tinsley. Mr. Seidel's originating dispute with me, Mandy, David, and Luna Shark appears to have begun in late 2021 when he submitted to Luna Shark's online tip repository his working theories about the crimes of Alex Murdaugh. It was one of hundreds of messages from the public that we never got around to reading. In fact, we did not know he reached out to us until recently. In the chaos of the Murdaugh story, Mr. Seidel, who at the time was awaiting trial on 16 federal charges, you know what, sir, messing around with wiretapping and stored information, federal and state crimes while you're on parole on parole is not a good look. You might see the inside of that prison. While he was awaiting trial on 16 federal charges related to his theft of hundreds of thousands of dollars in PPP loan funds, seemed to appear out of nowhere as a relentless and boundary-pushing critic of our work. Month after month, Mr. Seidel's fixation with Mandy, you saw the fixation, and that was just a tiny fraction of it. With Mandy, me, individual listeners of our show, Mr. Bland, and Mr. Tinsley has grown to alarming levels. His specific fixation, however, is with Mandy Matney. It is this fixation that Mr. Parker's attorneys have dangerously leveraged in their pursuit of fighting this case, both inside and outside the courtroom. There are multiple examples of how this relationship, which both Mr. Seidel and Mr. Parker's attorneys deny, manifests publicly. The irony is that Mr. Parker's defense in the Beach case has been to accuse Mr. Tinsley of engaging in the same kind of coordinated relationship with me and with Mandy Matney. There are critical distinctions. Let me see how many more there are. Did I miss one? Oh. I know this is going really, really long. Neither Mandy nor I have ever published confidential court materials in our coverage of this case. Our stories have been sourced to public documents and public hearings, which we have attended in person and virtually when possible. We have followed this case for years and have read every public filing made. That is called journalism. The question before this court is how photos of Mallory Beach's body ended up in the hands of a man named Greg Roman and a reporter named Vicki Ward. My name is not Greg Roman, nor is it Vicki Ward. Any comparison by Mr. Parker's attorneys of my work in covering this case to the core question before this court is made dishonestly and knowingly so. From the moment I appeared on Murdaugh Murders podcast in November 2021, I entered a world with a much larger stage and spotlight than I was accustomed to at the time. That larger audience meant that our reporting was a much greater threat to the power players in the Murdaugh case, whether it be the Murdaugh family, law enforcement, the Attorney General's office, or named and unnamed co-conspirators and defendants in the civil cases. This meant that my personal safety was something I had to consider to an even greater degree than before. At the Packet in 2019, Mandy and I were in Hampton County to meet with a source in a public location. We were apparently spotted by a local police chief, which our source noted. After the meeting, we decided to drive past the location where Stephen Smith was killed in 2015. We were the only car on the road. We did not stop. As we were headed home, just beyond the spot where Stephen was killed, Mandy and I saw a silver SUV driving toward us. It was a state highway patrolman. As he passed us, he slowed, then stopped, then made a U-turn and followed closely behind my vehicle until we left the county. And I think I read that in her book. Mandy and I had been warned by a trusted source in law enforcement not to go to Hampton County that day, but then we did not know how seriously to take our own safety. And those roads are scary. I've been on them. They are very, very rural. There is nothing for miles. If somebody was after you there, oh my goodness, you'd have nowhere to go. As we were headed home, just beyond the spot. Wait. No, sorry, lost my place again. After joining the podcast, my private space was no longer mine. While I understood the potential danger from those who did not appreciate our coverage, I was not prepared for the danger that came from online critics, commenters who made it a point to demonstrate that they knew where I lived, where I shopped, and where I walked my dog. There is a particular subset of commenters who to this day continue to obsessively observe and comment, sharing incorrect and nefarious theories about Mandy and me. This is why you will never see my face. I cannot fully describe how unsettling it is when strangers who appear mentally unwell become fixated on you. Even well-meaning fans have inadvertently caused me to feel physically ill over my safety. Your heart rate increases. Your adrenaline causes a feeling of being untethered. You cannot see beyond the immediate threat. In October 2022, Mandy and David got married and left the Low Country for their honeymoon. During that same time, two of my closest friends in the area who kept an eye out for me were also out of town. At this point, I had largely stopped leaving my apartment, sometimes choosing to write our scripts from home instead of at Mandy's house. I had everything delivered: groceries, dinner, home goods. At any time I left the house involved checking under my car for tracking devices. Oh my gosh. I had developed a nightly routine that included going over the steps of what to do if someone entered my home. I fell asleep most nights, imagining myself grabbing my phone, rolling off my bed and onto the floor, then crawling into my walk-in closet while verbally coaxing my dog to follow me. This is not a way to live. In October 2022, feeling acutely exposed, I shared this fear with a college friend who invited me to come stay with her and her family in Maryland. So I did. But for Russell Lafitte's and Corey Fleming's federal court appearances and Alex Murdaugh's murder trial, I stayed in Maryland. The absence of being constantly recognized was palpable. I could breathe, I could shop, I could drive without worrying I would be followed. In April 2023, I bought a house in Maryland, and in July 2023, I became a permanent resident of that state. If I can avoid coming to South Carolina, I do. In January 2026, I traveled to Florence to cover a federal hearing because Mandy was out of town. In November 2025, I made an appearance in Charleston for a fan event celebrating the finale of our Hulu show, Murdaugh, Death in the Family. I left the event before it concluded because even with security present, I feared for my safety. Specifically, I feared that Mr. Seidel would make an appearance. Mr. Seidel, the publisher of crimeandcask.com, is a convicted felon currently on federal probation for crimes he has admitted to. As a part of his plea agreement, he admitted to United States District Judge that he had lied to federal investigators. This fact, combined with his documented obsession with Mandy Matney, causes me great concern. History is full of examples of individuals with criminal histories who become dangerously obsessed with public figures. There's a long list of public figures who have been harmed or killed by obsessed persons: Rebecca Schaefer, John Lennon, and Selena Quintanilla, to name a few. The difference is that Mr. Seidel is not a fan of Mandy. He has made it his mission to destroy her career. Fixations like his, do not resolve on their own. They escalate. Our strategy was first to ignore him. It did not work. It just got worse. Then we called out his behavior publicly. Again, it did not work. It continued to escalate. It keeps getting worse because Mr. Parker's attorneys continue to supply him, either directly or indirectly, with disingenuous narratives calculated to harm our reputation and credibility as journalists. Today, as Mandy appears in court just 37 miles from Mr. Seidel's residence, I remain deeply worried about her safety and about how long this campaign that Mr. Parker's attorneys have waged against us will continue. Mr. Parker's attorneys continue to engage in a pattern of bad faith conduct, and I see this same pattern to an even greater degree reflected in their motion to show cause regarding Mandy's March 27 deposition, which is retaliatory both in tone and language. As for my own safety, I continue to minimize my trips to South Carolina. I have obtained a concealed carry permit, and my home is equipped with panic buttons. Oh my gosh. I'm getting anxiety reading this. Interior and exterior cameras and alarms on all entrances, including windows. Until someone has been in our position, they will not fully understand what these measures feel like to live with. These are the steps I take so that I can do my job in as safe an environment as possible. Imagine all these women did was report on a story. That's all they did. And this is how they live now. And the likes of Miss
Just
Barbier.
a few days ago, you posted a picture of yourself in your bathing suit, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Case law.
And were you on the beach? Were you on the beach in your bathing suit?
Your Honor, objection. This is not relevant and harassing.
Your Honor, if she has security concerns, the last thing a female with security concerns does is post a bathing suit shot of themselves for their stalker to see. So I'm curious as to whether she acknowledged that she did that.
This is beyond the pale, Your Honor. Women are allowed to be in public in a bathing suit.
That's not the point.
It's not the point. Go ahead. It's over.
Did
That
you?
was in my backyard, if you really want to know.
Okay, but you posted a bathing suit shot.
My husband right next to me, and it wasn't a revealing bathing suit shot. You can look at it.
But you posted a picture of yourself in your bathing suit, correct? Okay. And
Unfreaking believable. I've watched that so many times already, and it makes me sick every single time. Like, it never doesn't just make my absolute skin crawl. What does that have to do with anything? And this isn't a sexual stalking. So what is she talking about? And even if it was, does that mean it was a modest picture? I was gonna put it on here and I forgot to load it. It's on my phone. But it was such an innocent post, and she was trying to, you know, I need to watch it again before I don't want to misrepresent what it was, but that's not what it was doing. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why she posted it. She has every right to post it. And she's being punished and being spoken of this way. And I just hope that the judge, he's an older man. I hope this doesn't trigger something in his memory of when women used to be judged for what they were wearing. Like I said at the beginning, like, oh, you got raped? Well, why were you wearing a miniskirt and why were you in a bar? You know, we're back to that, but it's being done by a woman. It's so despicable. I ran out of words to describe how I feel about what she did today, but this is disgusting, Deborah Barbier, and shame on you. Shame on you. Nasty woman. But, you know, and I remember what one of the things I was going to say earlier, you know, maybe they operate and do absolutely everything for their love of money, but that doesn't mean that that's what everybody else does. Some of us just want to say something. I've told you guys before, I will go through and delete commercials because YouTube always, even if I choose the lowest setting, it will put so many commercials, and I will go through and space them not less than 10 minutes apart. And it's always telling me, oh, you can make 20 to 40% more if you add mid-roll ads, and I won't do it. And then it wants me to make branding things. It's always sending me messages about what to do to make more money. But you know what? Not everybody is ruled by money. Some of us just we're bothered by things and we want to speak up about it. And I'm flabbergasted that these people are so greedy themselves that they can't understand that they can't understand that we're doing this because we see something and we want to say something. We have not been paid by these people. You know what's funny? I've never seen Mark Tinsley in person, and they were after me thinking that I got money from him or I was doing this for him. I've interviewed his wife. And I've met Creighton Waters. I've seen her in person. I've stood within 20 feet of this woman and within 20 feet of Mark Moore and within 6 feet of Dick Harpootlian and Jim Griffin. But I've never seen Mark Tinsley or Tabor Vox in person. I don't have to see them. I look at these rulings and I can decide for myself who I think is a good person and who I think is a terrible person. And guess what? I have a First Amendment right to talk about it. And you don't get to intimidate me and try to put me in my place or harass me into shutting my mouth. I beat millions of dollars law firms, one on the California coast and one in New York. I beat them with my motion to quash that I wrote every word myself. And I will fight you too, but I would not have sat there and been deposed by these people. I spent the last couple of months in Europe. I am sick of these people using their power and their wealth to do this kind of crap. And I just when she made Mandy cry so many times, and I'm just like sitting here crying with her, and then I'm just like screaming at, I can't stand it. And at the fear, I've been afraid ever since I heard these people were literally this woman right here on the screen asked a friend of mine if she knew where I lived. If she knows me and knows where I live. Because they were looking for me. Because they wanted to do the same thing to me because I dare speak my mind. I wasn't even around. I didn't even have a YouTube channel when this stuff was happening in 2021. I didn't talk about the Murdaugh stuff until after the murder trial in 2023. And then much later, I started talking about the boat crash and stuff. It's sickening. And I will talk about this. Now their discovery is closed, so they can't depose me. But I'm not going to shut up about it. And I will fight it with all I have. Gelf. Thank you, Gelf. Do chicken butts and bikinis cause scratches. It sounds like something they could do. I think they could do anything. Anyway, so that is my rant for tonight. I cannot believe you guys stayed with me. It is 2:19 where I live. I don't know what time it is where you live, but thank you so much for staying with me. This had to be said. This has to stop, and I will not shut up about it. And I will move to Peru before I will let you depose me for exercising my First Amendment right to speak about something that I think needs spoken about. I speak about public court filings. Go back and find something that I spoke about that I wasn't supposed to know. Come up with that before you start asking questions about me and who I've talked to. Anyway. Thanks, Sumi. I want to be sitting by your fire. That looks fun. Anyway, well, I have kept you guys long enough. I've got to eat my dinner now. It's one of those days where I didn't eat. I had a 0 sugar Dr. Pepper blackberry flavor soda, and what else did I have? Oh, some chocolate, I think I had like 4 or 5 chocolate covered raisins. So I'm going to go eat and go to bed. Thank you guys so very much for staying with me through the night, and have a wonderful night's sleep. And I will talk to you soon.